If I was to describe Caterham in one word, it would be exciting.
Amazing.
Positive.
Vibrant. Brilliant.
It's incredible. The best thing about Caterham School is the staff, and they always give you the best opportunity and they're always there for you.
Every lesson is just, I come in with a smile on my face because I love it.
Anything that you like, you get to do. There's so many opportunities.
So many opportunities you have here.
The opportunities that come to you, so many different types of people that you find friends really easily.
It's how kind everyone is and how helpful everyone is. You never feel left out or lonely, you're just always really happy.
Hello, welcome to our virtual visitor morning here at Caterham School. My name's Kerry Jones, I'm the headmaster here at Caterham. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning to hear a bit more about Caterham School and the amazing educational provision and opportunity we have here for your sons and daughters. At the end of our talk, there'll be a chance for questions. So as I'm talking to you and showing you some films, please do think about the kinds of things you might want to ask me at the end. And it's great to have so many of you here from all different kinds of places. So some from the UK, some from overseas. Let me start by describing who Caterham School is and what we are. So as you know, we're a co-educational school with about 1,000 pupils in, with both day and boarding pupils in it. We're a really high achieving school with high expectations of all our pupils. Fundamentally, we're also a very, very warm and supportive community. And this morning you'll hear and I'll tell you about lots of the incredible achievements of our pupils, both in terms of our academic standards and our sport and our music and our drama. But you'll also hear about the warmth, the sense of community, the sense of support that underpins all of those achievements. So we're a school which gets the best out of young people by creating a school culture, a school environment where they're going to be valued for who they are and encouraged to be themselves and to be encouraged to take as many opportunities as we can put in front of them, to not be worried about making mistakes, to not be perfectionists, to want to just try everything and learn as they go. That's a school that we have here at Caterham, and that underpins all the success that I'll talk about to you this morning. So let's talk about some of that success. You'll hear me talk about achievement this morning. And achievement, of course, is really important. I'm a parent like you. I've got 2 adult children now, but what I wanted for my children is I imagine what you want for your children. To come to a school which is going to put loads of opportunities in front of them, where they're going to make great friends and and create great memories and go on trips and do all manner of things, but also along the way, ensure they get good academic grades so that at the age of 18, they've got choices to make their own choices about where they go beyond school, whether that be university or the world of work or whatever that might be. And of course, grades are the currency they need to make that transition. So of course, grades matter, but grades are only one way in which we value children and value each other. And grades are only one way in which you determine success. There are so many other ways of making a success of your life. And part of what we will ensure is that your children, alongside getting those great grades, will also develop the instincts, the habits that mean that when things go wrong, they are in a place to put them right. Their response to challenge is another key part of what we will help them develop here at Caterham, because most of what we experience in life is not what we were expecting. And so that ability to cope with uncertainty is another key part of what a Caterham education will offer to your child, alongside helping them get those incredible grades. So academically, we are a really strong school. Achievement-wise, also, we'll ensure that your children have the chance to achieve in so many other ways, whether that be in the drama studio or on a stage or in a music recital or in the art studio or in a debating chamber. All those things will encourage your children to engage positively with school. So success isn't just about the future. Success isn't just about where they go to university. Success and achievement is also about how they interact with school every day. And we will make sure, whether it's in the classroom or in our incredible co-curricular program, there is something here that your child will feel good about and feel they love doing. So achievement in its broader sense is what this school will focus on. But I know lots of you will be interested in the grades. So let's start with our academic profile. Here's some slides about our academic performance. And this slide gives you a sense of our A-level results from last summer. A really strong set of results. As I say, we don't define ourselves by grades and we don't define ourselves by league tables, but if that matters to you, well, listen, Caterham is a top 50 school in the UK in terms of our academic profile. And these were our A-level grades last summer, a very strong set of results. This summer, we're looking at an A-star to A ratio of 70% from our upper sixth. So an incredibly strong cohort coming through. This next slide shows you our GCSE results from last summer. These were our best ever GCSE results. They were the best GCSE results of any school in the South East. The average grade here at Caterham was a grade 8. That's an A-star for our pupils. So again, a really, really strong set of results. And most of our pupils will do 10 or 11 GCSEs and achieve a grade 8 in most of them. In fact, last year, 20% of the year group got straight 9s across all 11 of their GCSEs. So academically, we are doing a great job, and our children are doing a great job. Most importantly, though, it's not how these grades look on a slide or on a league table. The most important thing about these grades are the opportunities that they open up. And this next slide gives you a sense of where our pupils go on to. In terms of university destinations, most of our pupils still are going to university. A handful are doing degree apprenticeships where you will go and work for a company like Deloitte or whatever and get a degree. But most of our pupils are still looking at universities. Most of them still looking at universities here in the UK, Russell Group and G5 universities. We have a great track record of helping and supporting pupils who want to do medicine or veterinary science or dentistry do that successfully. So 100% of our medics are getting offers. So it was 10 last year, 8 this year. They all get offers to really competitive medical schools. But also we have kids looking overseas. This next slide will also give you a sense of the destinations overseas. So not only are we sending pupils off to Oxford and Cambridge in large numbers, we're also sending them off to the US in increasing numbers. This year, so in September of this year, we'll have 8 of our current upper sixth going off to US universities, 3 of them going off to Ivy League universities, 1 on a full scholarship to Princeton. But what's also really interesting about the kinds of destinations and courses our pupils are doing is there's a real breadth there of interest. So, for example, 2 of our pupils going to the States. 1 is going off to do a computer design course. 1 is going off to the University of Southern California to do a film course. But of course, we have kids here in the UK going off to Oxford and Cambridge to do natural sciences or chemistry. So a real breadth, I think, of academic ambition from our pupils, which I'm really pleased about. So those grades are really, really important, and we will support your son or your daughter to get the strongest possible grades, because we want them all to have the choices that you've just seen and just heard about. The bottom bullet point on that slide is also just worth noting. I mentioned it earlier, the idea of degree apprenticeships. As a school, we are doing all we can to educate our pupils and our parents about the options that are there for them post-18. And those options are growing very, very quickly. And a degree apprenticeship is a great alternative where, as I say, you go and work for a company and get a degree as you do that as well. Some of our kids are also going straight into the world of work. They're already running their own businesses off their laptops and trying that too. So our job as a school isn't simply to funnel your son or daughter to a particular destination that we think is right for them. Our job as a school is to inform them and you of the opportunities out there and support them to follow their passions and their interests. So academically, that's where we are. And this final slide, I think, might be it. No, so that's our final slide. But beyond that, as well as helping your children get those incredible grades, we do much more. As I said to you, one of the key things that a Caterham education will offer to your son and daughter isn't just to achieve incredible grades, but also to help them become adept at being ready for a world which is rapidly changing. We all know just how fast-paced change is in the world of work. We all are aware of the impact of new and emerging technologies on the world of work, whether that be the sort of advent of generative AI, whatever. We as a school are leading the conversation nationally about how technology interfaces with education and how we as schools should be addressing the issue of emerging technology in our classrooms. And we are expert at this. It's something that we do very, very well alongside our traditional subjects. Part of the way we do that is that we're an Apple distinguished school, so technology is firmly embedded in how we do our teaching and learning. It hasn't replaced that fundamentally important relationship between teacher and pupil. And we still have classrooms full of brilliant teachers inspiring young minds with a love of learning just by knowing their subject so well. And technology supports that relationship really effectively here at Caterham. But alongside that, we've also developed our own unique bespoke curriculum, which is on the timetable, to ensure that your son and your daughter has the opportunity to really explore what technology is and how they can maximize its potential. Because what we want is for your children to come through school and become critical and creative users of technology and not simply unthinking consumers of it. The course we've developed, and we've developed our course in conjunction with some of the big city firms. We spoke to them about what they were looking for from graduates. The course here at Caterham is called EDGE. It's the only school in the country running this EDGE course, and it runs on the curriculum from the first year all the way through into the sixth form. And its purpose is really to help your sons and daughters begin to appreciate the kinds of ways of working which are out there beyond school. It also encourages them to be more effective learners here at school, because one of the key things that we try to encourage all of our pupils to do is not to think in silos and in straight lines, but to be able to apply their knowledge and their skills across a whole range of different contexts. And the EDGE curriculum does that. I've got a short film here to show you about EDGE at Caterham School.
Digital and innovation is a really important space, partly because it's been so overlooked in schools for a really long time. It's just about the most prominent thing in the real world. It's part of our everyday lives. No matter what career you do, digital and innovation will touch that. And to embed that in the curriculum, I think, is just an absolute essential for all schools. We have a really wide range of co-curricular clubs that sort of speak to the digital and innovation agenda, and that ranges from Lego League, which is for our younger pupils, all the way through to some quite sophisticated coding club opportunities for pupils who are building their own apps, websites, even sort of for their business opportunities. We also have esports, we have a Caterham kit car, a green power car which pupils get to build and race around real racetracks, and a really successful film and tech club. So EDGE stands for Explore, Develop, Grow, Evolve. And I think that really speaks to what it is all about. It's a curriculum subject from first year all the way through to sixth form, and it is built upon 3 core pillars. So learning to learn, which is something that has been built into the fabric of Caterham School for a really long time, getting pupils to think about how they're thinking. Big ideas, so we know that curriculum subjects try to explore current events, topical things all the time, but EDGE really gives space for those key emotive topics to breathe, and projects. One of the things that we really believe in is giving pupils an opportunity to be hands-on with problem solving. So they might make their own business, they might make physical products, they will iterate, prototype, and get real feedback on what they're doing. The whole purpose of EDGE, the whole motivation around developing a curriculum that has all of this time dedicated to it, is to make sure that our young people are as prepared as possible for what the future holds. It's really uncertain. We can't predict what the jobs of the future will be, but we can help give them a toolkit that makes them feel confident about facing change, facing challenge, and rising above that and finding success. That, I think, will help them be really successful in the future.
So I hope that short film gives you a real insight into the work we're doing alongside all the academic results I've talked about, all the work we're doing in terms of preparing your son or your daughter for life, both here at school and beyond school. It's an area of school life that we're award-winning for. Our work in digital innovation has won us national awards, and people look at us as a beacon of good practice. And we think it's something which is critically important for all schools to be addressing. As the world beyond school changes, schools have got to begin to address these issues and ensure that the children aren't just leaving school with grades, they're also leaving school with a confidence about how to engage with technology and emerging technology effectively. And we also know that so much of success in life isn't just based upon the grades or indeed even technology. It's also about relationships and people and one's emotional intelligence and one's empathy. Success in life is about how you interact with and interrelate with people. And another key part of what Caterham will offer to you and to your son and daughter is a foundational and fundamentally important approach to well-being. Again, well-being is something which Caterham is well known for now and award-winning in. And well-being means a couple of things. It's partly around a school culture. Well-being is about a culture in which your son, your daughter can come to school and know they're going to be safe and well looked after and protected, and where they're going to be allowed to be their true authentic selves, where they are going to be encouraged to be themselves and to grow into themselves. So it's about a culture on one level. But here at Caterham also, well-being is on the curriculum. We have lessons on well-being for all of our pupils from the first year through to the upper sixth. So if you join Caterham in our first year in year 7, you will have over 100 hours of well-being teaching throughout your time at the school. And the value of the well-being lessons, well, I think, again, there are 2 things there about the well-being lessons. One, of course, is it's about teaching your sons and daughters to navigate teenage lives effectively. So, of course, we'll deal with some of those risky behaviours that we need to deal with. But more importantly, what the well-being curriculum here at Caterham does is it teaches your children to be emotionally literate and emotionally intelligent and to be empathetic. So we will teach your children about how to name their emotions and to talk about their emotions and to share their emotions and to manage their emotions and to understand the emotions of other people around them. Because we know the research is very clear on this. If we do this really well between the ages of 11 and 14, we know that actually we help mitigate the risk of anxiety and challenge later in life. So it's something we're really committed to here. Our well-being is not simply an add-on. It's not a gimmick. We don't have a well-being day or a well-being week or a well-being theme for an assembly. It's on the curriculum. It's something that we as a school have put front and center. And it underpins all the success that I've talked about so far. the ability of our pupils to manage their emotions, to manage their stress, to manage when things go wrong, that's fundamentally important to what we do at the school, because we think that sets them up for success, not just here at school, but also beyond school too. How they interrelate to and how they understand other people is also a key part of that. So our culture is a culture full of young people who are emotionally intelligent and emotionally literate, and who are happy talking about their emotions and understand that it's okay not to be okay sometimes. And that's a key underpinning, I think, of our culture here at the school. It underpins all that success I've mentioned already. I've got a short film here to share with you about wellbeing at Caterham School.
So along with a philosophy about wellbeing, which impacts every teacher's daily interactions with pupils, and indeed the very ethos that you feel when you walk into a school, we also have specific wellbeing lessons that our pupils will take part in, that skills them up for the things that they'll come across in their life. And the way that we approach that here is by developing emotional literacy. And in fact, this is something that starts right down with our very littlies, down in our pre-prep.
We're a school that talks about achievement being built upon a culture of people feeling happy, safe and supported. I think what Sarah's work with wellbeing has done has to embed that absolutely, not just in the curriculum, but also in the way we all think about academic success, that one does not come at the expense of the other.
We've had a range of wellbeing classes. They do optional ones like finance and first aid for your mates. They give us really good opportunities to learn how to, handle these situations outside of school, which I think is really good.
You're not just here to get your exams and go, it's all about developing quite a rounded personality. And Caterham's quite proactive, I'd say, in what they do, so it's almost a year before it's necessary, you're going through it, you're sort of learning the basics, so you don't get there and then it's like there's a crisis and it's like, oh my goodness, it's all of a sudden too late.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of before anything happens, Caterham prepares you for it, which is quite nice.
I definitely think every Caterham student would be much more prepared to cope with those kind of sort of day-to-day stresses than perhaps another student where they haven't had the sort of well-being as they've been growing up.
It should be something that every member of staff and everyone connected with the school has an understanding of.
So I hope that short film on wellbeing just underlines how important it is to us as a school and to our school culture. We're one of a handful of schools in the UK to have been awarded the National Children's Bureau Wellbeing for School Award. And I suppose that external affirmation gives you the confidence that we don't just talk about this stuff, that it's something which is deeply embedded in everything that we do. And it's not just on the curriculum, it's in every interaction that we have as adults with pupils. We make sure that well-being and making sure and understanding that the value of well-being is at the heart of all the conversations we have around people progress. And in terms of culture, we mentioned that well-being is a culture and a curriculum. Culture also is important and is delivered through our approach to the co-curricular. I referenced very early on the fact that we want your son, your daughter to come to Caterham and just embrace all the opportunities. And we are a school which believes that there are as many ways to achieve here at Caterham as there are pupils. We've got an incredibly varied and wide-ranging co-curricular program here of clubs and societies, both at lunchtime and after school, which range from kit car building clubs. We build and race electric cars, or it could be our beekeeping club or our gardening club or a dance club or a debating club. I mean, there are genuinely hundreds of clubs here that our children can participate in. And we have a school culture which says, look, if you want to be involved, you can be involved. We don't close the door to anyone, because so much of the journey your child is going to go on is a voyage of discovery. It isn't for us to define for them what they do. We want them to come to Caterham and find the things that they love to do for themselves. And that very often will light a spark, which will take them into some incredible places. We've got pupils here who began go-karting here at school who are now racing Formula 4. We have actors who are on the West End stage or on TV who began those careers here at Caterham. So if you're interested in getting involved, there is going to be a place for you here at Caterham to try something. And that's also true in our performing arts culture. We have an incredible performing arts centre where we have a theatre, a studio theatre, a music school, a dance studio, a recording studio. And so performing arts is also a big part of the Caterham offer. And whether you are a musician or an actor, if you want to be involved, you can be involved. So, for example, we will run 10 productions a year at the school. Of course, not everyone can be on the stage, but if you want to be involved backstage or in the lighting box, we make sure that if you want to be involved, you can be involved. We're not a school that will say to you, I'm afraid this isn't for you. So that culture of participation, I think is a really important underpinning of what Caterham has to offer you. We're not just looking to support the elite, we're making sure that everyone who wants to be involved can have a go. So here's a very short film about performing arts at Caterham School.
I think the key word is broad, and our aim is really to make sure that everyone can be involved in drama in some way, shape or form. The provision available is extensive. There's a club for every sort of interest, for every idea that a kid might have. There's an opportunity there for them to explore it, whether it's an improvisation club or joining tech club or getting involved in full-scale productions. That's really fantastic about this school, how much opportunity there is for all the different types of students that the school caters for.
Dance has grown hugely over the past few years, and it's now very much part of the academic curriculum as well as the extracurricular provision. In terms of pupils' creativity, it's just so fantastic for them to be able to come into a safe space and just be creative and move is so important. And then in conjunction with that, it's so important for their well-being. You will find that people that dance, whether it's, you know, dancing in their bedroom or dancing in front of 5,000 people, you know, you get that endorphin rush and it just makes you feel good.
So we have a relatively new performing arts centre which has 3 specific theatres: the Humphreys Theatre, the Deaton Theatre, which is a smaller black box style studio, and what I think is really special is the Orchard Theatre, which is an outdoor theatre which in the summer we host a summer festival, and really fantastic.
Music at Caterham is an exciting, busy, wonderful place. There's an incredible staff of music who are equally enthusiastic about early church music, big band, Latin American music, and current trends in music as well.
If you're into composition, there's a tech studio purely dedicated for that. Recording studio that got built last year. Concerts, probably around 5 every term.
For me, drama is about 3 C's: confidence, creativity and communication. And I think in all the different ways that we are offering it here at Caterham, the students have those opportunities.
So we don't aim to pack in every experience in 1 year. We look at their whole time with us and we try and map out experiences that they should have with their time at Caterham School.
Some will absolutely know that their passion is acting and they will want to be on the stage, and we have provisions for that and we will support those students. As well as that, there are those who maybe just want to explore their communication skills, want to work with other people but don't want to be on stage. So for them, they might assistant direct, they might actually help put on a production. Every job you might think of within a theatre, we would try and cater for here as well. I think it's so important that we help students find their little corner, because there is absolutely something for everyone.
So I hope that film gives you a sense of the breadth of opportunity that we have here at Caterham for all of our pupils. We are a school, as I say, which really does embrace that idea of participation. Yes, we're high achieving, but we also want all of our pupils, no matter what their starting point, no matter what their background, to feel that there's something here that they can do, and we as a school are not going to dictate to them what they can and can't do. I'm also conscious that on lots of those films you've seen, those great aerial shots of our campus, which is a beautiful campus, you've seen all of our sporting facilities, and we haven't yet talked about sport. So let me talk to you a little bit about sport finally today. Sport is important to us. It's not compulsory. It's not something which dominates our thinking. You don't have to be a sporty child to come to Caterham, but it is important. And all of our pupils do participate in school sport. If you're a great games player, if your son or daughter is a great games player, well, look, we have amazing pathways and incredible facilities to help them perform at elite levels. So we have pupils playing sport for England and Wales and Scotland in lacrosse and in hockey and in rugby and in cricket. So, and we have teams who are national champions in hockey or rugby. So we are a very competitive sports school. And if sport is important to you, we can help you perform at a really elite level. But the thing I'm most proud of, actually, isn't all of our elite performances, isn't all of our pupils playing for England or Wales or Scotland, much as we think they're amazing. The thing I'm most proud of is the fact that in the first 3 years at the school, year 7, 8, 9, our first 3 years, every pupil in the school has played sport for the school, if they wanted to. We have 100% participation in sport teams from our junior pupils. And for me, that's really important. For me, that's a real mark of what a school should be doing, providing the opportunity for your child to engage. They don't all have to be great sports players, and we don't make them play, as I say, but the opportunity to play, the opportunity to be involved and be part of something, to learn how to play in a team, to develop healthy habits. I think it's a really important part of what all schools should do. And I'm really proud of the fact that here at Caterham, we do that alongside some great elite performance as well. So we've got a really strong sporting culture here. It doesn't dominate the school, and you don't, as I say, you don't have to be a sporty child to come here. But we will make sure if your child comes to Caterham, they get the opportunity to participate should they want to. So here's a short film about sport at Caterham School.
CAP is Caterham Athlete Programme. Basically, that is our support structure for anyone that is wanting to pursue sport to the highest that their ability can take them.
It involves extra gym sessions to work on their athletic development, as well as some seminars to improve their knowledge, to help them push towards county, regional and eventually international honours.
It's a really bespoke programme for all of our athletes that come into it. We liaise with their S&C coaches if they're in performance pathways.
It provides that one-to-one support with some of our really high achieving sports staff.
There'll be advice around nutrition, sports psychology, there'll be lectures from sports stars who come in and talk about their journey and the experiences they've had.
The Caterham Sport Department staff, they're highly experienced in their specific sports that they do, and they range from backgrounds. So we have members of staff that have worked in professional environments, are currently working in professional environments, and then we have staff that have come from more traditional PE backgrounds, so they really get what it's like to balance a school sports programme within a school variety background.
The coaches, with their experience, really positively benefit us because any questions that we have, they can answer, and they help us think about different aspects of our sports.
So if there's a particular exercise you want to work on, then it helps you a lot and it gives you more power and speed.
Without CAP, I wouldn't have been able to get into my county hockey.
We're really lucky we get some really talented pupils in at year 7, at year 9 and lower 6. It's our way of really helping them, whether they're on pathways already, or really be the best version of themselves every day and help give them the tools that are going to hopefully support them through to whatever those ambitions are.
It's really important that our young sportsmen and women get access to CAP because it gives them that extra stepping stone to really push and to achieve their full potential.
In CAP, we're all sportsmen, but at the end of the day, we all really enjoy sport. When we get to work together and play as a team, it's just exciting to watch and play.
So that was our final film this morning. I hope it gave you a really good sense of our sporting provision. Before I open to questions, so please do start thinking about questions, and if you have questions, do drop them into the chat so we can all see them, and I'll answer them in just a moment. Before that, though, just one final thing from me. So you've heard a lot today about the achievement of our pupils. You've heard a lot today about the culture underpinning that achievement. You've heard a lot today about the breadth of opportunity for your children here at Caterham. And I hope it's kind of reassured you that we are a school that's got a great balance between high achievement, but also involvement, and a great culture of participation and warmth here. I just want to finish by talking a little bit about community, because community is a word that is overused, I think, but here at Caterham it's really important to me and to us. When I think about the word community, I think there are two things I would want to share with you. One is to share the fact that we're a very diverse school community. So we're a day and a boarding school, so we have pupils here from all over the world, which I think is fantastic. We also, over the last 8 or so years, worked very hard to become intentionally diverse in terms of every aspect of that word. So in terms of course, we're a co-ed school, which adds diversity. We have all manner of pupils from different ethnic backgrounds in the school, or socioeconomic backgrounds, or indeed even neurodiverse backgrounds. And we've done that deliberately. And the reason we've done that, I think, is educationally, it makes for a much more interesting conversation. I still teach A-level history. And when I teach A-level history, it's great to have different pupils in the room who bring different perspectives to the problems and questions we're asking. And you as parents know in your professional lives, if you want to solve a problem, you don't want a room full of people who all look and think and sound the same. So I think diversity and the intentional diversity we have here at Caterham has a genuine educational benefit for all of our pupils and for their outcomes. I also think that because we are so diverse and so many different kinds of pupils in the school, it also connects to that well-being piece, because you don't have to be a particular type of pupil to thrive here at the school. You don't have to put a mask on to come to school every day and be something that you're not, because we're a school full of all kinds of children. There isn't a dominant type of child here or a dominant culture here. And it was interesting, last term, in the autumn term, we were inspected by the Independent Schools Inspectorate. And they spent 2.5 days in school speaking to pupils about their experience of being here at the school. And the thing, and it was a really positive report, I have to say, we're the only school in England to have received 3 areas of significant strength as a school. So we're really very proud of that. There's a line in that report, though, that I was super proud of, because a pupil said to one of the inspectors that they felt they could be their true, authentic self at school. And for me, that's really important to hear that our pupils feel they can be themselves here because of that culture. So our diverse community, I think, is a real strength of this school. The other element of community that I would just share with you before we open for questions is that we're a school with a real purpose and with a real sense of who we are and the job we want to do in the wider world. We are a school, we're also an educational charity, and our mission isn't just to educate your children here at this school, it's also to support ambition and aspiration in lots of schools around us. And if your child comes to Caterham, we will support them and expect them to get involved in that work, because I want your children to come to Caterham and do really well, have a great time, get great grades and go on amazing trips and do all those things. But I also want them to develop a sense of who they are, how they connect to the world around them, how they might change the world, and how important it is to appreciate that everyone has something valuable to say. So your child, if they come to Caterham, will work in partnership with pupils and adults from other schools, different contexts, so that when they leave Caterham, they can walk into a room anywhere in the world and connect with people. So we are a school with a real purpose beyond just grades. And I think it's important that you know that we are fundamentally embedded in the community, the wider community of Caterham and Surrey and England, and indeed also internationally. We have a primary school that we work with in Tanzania. So listen, that's us. That's who we are, a high achieving school with high expectations, with a really interesting, I think, philosophy of education, making sure that your children do achieve what we want them to achieve to the best of their ability, but also that we are educating them to be emotionally intelligent, emotionally literate, ready for a digitally changing world, but also understanding the value and purpose of what it is to be a kind of member of a community. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to stop talking at you now and invite questions. And I can see some questions have already come through. One thing I would ask, I've got a big TV screen over here to my left, and I can see lots of blank squares on that. If you are willing and able to put your cameras on, and if we can change the view on my TV, it'd be lovely to see some of your faces. I've been talking to you overseas or here in the UK. It'd be lovely to see your faces. Thank you for doing that. There we go. There's a sea of faces emerging. Not everyone perhaps is confident enough to do it. If you're at work or on the train or whatever in your pajamas, of course I understand. But if you can turn it on, that's great. And thank you for your questions. I will do my best. And I know I'm conscious I haven't talked about the kind of the practicalities of admissions, and I'm sure those questions will be asked. But let me start with this first question, which I think is a great question, around kind of digital innovation and AI and phones. And of course, a big topic of conversation. So we are thinking that first question, are we thinking about sort of how AI interacts with education? We absolutely are, actually. And I think one of the exciting things that this school does, we think hard about education. I hope that's come across this morning, that we think that education is about more than just preparing your children for exams, right? That's part of it. Of course it is. But we think hard about the broader purpose of education. And a key part of that is reflecting what's going on beyond school. So we absolutely are at the forefront of the conversation about how AI interacts with education. And I've been doing this job, I've been in education for 30 years now, and far too often what tends to happen is technology companies create stuff that schools buy and then have to adapt education to the technology. Whereas of course what should be happening in schools is that technology should be supporting education. So what we've done here at Caterham is we've set up our own ed tech company, and we are building AI products for use in the school and indeed for use in local primary schools, to make, with a genuine sense of trying to make education more effective using new and emerging technology in a way that works for pupils in our schools. And that's going really, really well. So I think it serves two purposes. I think it one means that we end up with products which actually do work in schools because they've been devised by teachers and trialed in schools with real pupils and not just some ed tech company swooping in with a product. And so we've devised a couple of things already which are working really well both here at Caterham and in the schools that we work with locally. I think the other thing that does is it demonstrates to our community, to our pupils, how important we think this is. You know, we can't ignore AI. And we either sit on the sidelines and watch someone else do this, or we get in and do it for ourselves. So we absolutely are engaging with AI and developing products. Educationally, what we're doing in school, all of our kids get exposure to kind of a basic level of coding. I think it's important that people understand what coding is. We do not expect all of our pupils to do computer science. We don't expect them all to become coders at all. But I think understanding the logic of code is important for their adult lives. But what we are doing around AI already is having classes on sort of philosophy and ethics and critical thinking. That's our response to the challenge of AI, because we're not going to be able to teach our pupils to understand the coding of AI. And indeed, of course, AI these days can code for itself. So in a sense, that's a meaningless task. But what we are doing is teaching our pupils to ask the right questions of what's in front of them. Because of course we now live in a world where, you know, the dividing line between reality and virtual reality, or truth or not truth, they're so blurred that we need to make sure our pupils know that they need to be asking the right questions before they engage with something meaningfully. I think that's the important role schools play here, is to work with pupils, to work with parents, to educate all of us that we live in a world now where, you know, can you spot a deep fake? Can you, all those are things that we're doing from our prep school all the way through. And we've been doing that for a year or so. I know there's some schools that are shouting about new curriculums. It's something we've been doing quietly for a long time, all the way, as I say, from our prep school through to the senior school. So we are absolutely engaging with and addressing the issue of emerging technologies in school. On the issue of phones that you ask about, yeah, listen, in our school, pupils are not allowed to have their phones out during the school day. So in lessons, and we don't use the word ban, because of course, once you start to try and ban something, I know from my own experience as a parent and as a teacher, it doesn't work. But we do have very, very clear rules around when phones can and can't be used. So if you came to Caterham and walked around here, you would not see kids sat on the floor with phones out. They're not allowed to do that. They have to be away during the school day. And that we manage that through our behaviour policy rather than a ban on phones. And I know it's a hot topic right now, and we're all wrestling with it. But I do not think that we can bury our heads in the sand. What we do here is to educate our pupils and you as parents about the safe use of technology. One of the benefits, I think, of being a school which has embraced the digital world, and because we do give iPads to our pupils to use in classrooms, it's also opened up that conversation with you as parents about how to use these things safely and effectively. We also work with parents and do lots of parental webinars and seminars on how to set up your own networks at home safely, so that the phones you buy your children are used safely and appropriately at home too. So it's a really great question. And I know it's a hot topic. I would reassure all of you that it's something that Caterham is way ahead, I think, of lots of schools on in doing. So I hope that answers that question. Another question. So thanks so much for the overview. Thank you for that. We offer an impressive range of activities. High achievers can sometimes have a tendency to overcommit. How do you assist students at an individual level to balance their commitments? It's a really good question. So how do we make sure that your children don't overdo it, basically, and burn out? In a number of ways. I guess the most important way is we have our kind of pastoral team set up network, if you like, keeps a very close eye on every single child. I think one of the things here that at Caterham we're very good at is knowing your child. So every child here will be in a form group, a tutor, and that tutor will get to know your child really well and understand who they are and their needs and what they're doing, and will closely monitor what they're doing. So we want to get that balance right, like you do, between them doing something but not too much. And you're right with the high achievers. You know, if you're a brilliant games player and a musician and a great actor and you're top set, there can be that pressure to be in all these things. We will, and that tends to become more of an issue higher up the school. Actually, we tend not to sit too much lower down the school because there are bundles of energy and lots going on. But as you kind of hit year 10, 11, 12, 13, that's when those things begin to emerge. So our tutors know our pupils really well. We have an incredibly strong kind of pastoral reporting system. So if we were to pick up people in the classroom who looked a bit overwhelmed, that information would be shared in real time with teachers, and we would adapt to that really closely. So we have an incredibly strong internal information sharing system. We've got a culture where pupils feel comfortable talking to adults about how they feel. So if people were to feel overwhelmed, I'm confident they would tell somebody, and that information would flow to the right place in the right time. We are, as a school, really happy to flex and bend and make sure that actually the most important thing in all our conversations is the child, and that if we need to take things off the plate of a child, we'll do that. So it's a really good question. I think we have a number of systems in place to make sure that we know what's going on. I think the most important part of the answer I've just given you, though, is that we have a culture where our pupils and the friends of our pupils know if someone's struggling, they'll say something. And we have a very open conversation and dialogue with parents. I mean, something I perhaps would say later, but I'll say it now, that you guys are the experts in your children and we're the experts in education. And we work together over the 5 or 7 years your child is with us. So if you felt your child was being overburdened by too much stuff, then you talk to us as well. But we're not a school that has hard lines saying, no, you've got to keep doing these things. So again, I hope that reassures you. We put the needs of the child first and make sure that we help them achieve the balance they need, because that's such an important life lesson too. You know, whether it's at school or university or adult life, understanding, getting that balance right, I think is critical. And we do, I think, a really good job of that here at Caterham. And no one's made to feel guilty if they stop doing something. You know, I can think of plenty of pupils who for a period of time. We say, don't go and play the sport or don't go and play in the orchestra. You just need a breather. It's fine. So we'll flex around that. Percentage of international students and boarders amongst current pupils at sixth form. Good question. So in terms of the boarding community, most of our boarders join school in year 9. We have 170 boarders in the school, so it's about 15% of the school population. Of those, I suppose, of the 165, 170, the majority do come into the sixth form. The mix, I suppose 80% probably are from overseas. We have a number of local boarders, but most are from overseas. But the international student phrase is an interesting one because, as I mentioned, we're quite a diverse school, and because of where we are, in terms of kind of different nationalities, passport holders in the school, we've got something like 45 different nationalities, maybe even 50 in the school. Because of where we are, you know, families from London or Sevenoaks or wherever, there's a real international feel to the school, actually. And so it's not, our international feel isn't just because of our borders, it's because of a much more diverse people population. During the school day, everyone's just mixed in, by the way. So if you're a boarder at the school, your school day, you're in with all the people. So you're just a day people at the school. So there's great integration across the school day. Mobile phone policy, I think I've just explained it. We are not a school that, well, we are a school that says you don't have your phone out. And if you have your phone out, there's going to be a sanction. So we do not have an issue with kids with phones out in classrooms being distracted, nor indeed at break times, because they're not allowed to have them out. Is it an outright ban? I don't think we've used the phrase ban because we know that if we try and ban something, the kids will have another mobile phone somewhere else. What we do is make sure that they understand when it is and when it's not appropriate to have their phones. It works really well. We do not have an issue here with kids sitting in classrooms sneaking peeks at their phones. So I hope that explains that. I mean, you'll hear some schools, I guess, who say we have a ban. We ban them, we lock them away, we take them off them. We don't do that. But equally, nor do we have a problem with kids having phones out, because we're very, very clear from the outset that they can't be out during the school day, and that does work here. So I hope that's reassuring and helpful to hear. Yes, half weekly boarding is an option. So if you're looking at us, depends where you're living, we have various different boarding options, various different ways of connecting with the school. So we'll have boarders who are here all the time, full boarders who are here throughout the term. We have weekly boarding, which is a kind of Monday to Friday option. We also have what's now called a half weekly boarding option. What we don't do flexi boarding, so we don't have the odd night here or the odd night there. I think it's very disruptive for boarding houses, and those schools who offer flexi boarding tend not to have all their beds full. We do. We're full with our boarders currently, so we don't do flexi boarding, but what we do offer is half weekly. And what that means is you can, as a family, choose to board with us Monday, Tuesday, or effectively Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so the first part of the week, or the second half of the week, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You choose, and that's your choice for the year. So it means that you can access a school in a way that works for you. So if your child has a sports practice on a Monday or a Tuesday and you live a bit far away, you might choose for them to board Monday, Tuesday, and then be a kind of commuting day pupil for the second half of the week. It's working well. You know, it's designed for those families who live at the margins of our catchment, but equally we also have interest from current families who live quite close to the school, who quite like the idea of that kind of part boarding, part day experience at the school. If you want to know more about that, again, perhaps get in touch with admissions and come and talk to Matthew Wood, who's my director of admissions here. But yeah, it's working well, and I think it's a really good offer. How many intakes are there into the lower sixth? It's about 30 boarders, and it's about 25 day pupils. Most of our pupils will come through from year 11 into year 12. It's certainly what our ambition is. We'll have some day pupils who'll leave the school to go off and do something a bit more vocational. We don't do BTECs in the sixth form. So we'll have some pupils leave to go and do a BTEC at a local college. So we'll recruit in some more day pupils. Boarders, most of our boarders stay. Some will move to different schools, will go back to their home countries, but we'll recruit in about 30 boarders into our sixth form too. So our sixth form year groups are about 165 in the lower sixth, and the same in the upper sixth. The intake for year 7. So it's about 80 external candidates. So we have our own prep school, and our own prep school has 40 pupils, 45 pupils in a year group. The quality of the provision of our prep school is so good now that they all come through. There's no hurdle for them. So if you're in our prep school, you come into the senior school. They don't have to take an 11 plus. They come through. So it's about 40 will come through every year from our prep school. We have year groups of about 120 in year 7. So 80 external candidates will come in from outside. So that's our kind of year group intake. So 120 in year 7 at 11 plus. And that 120 will be in 5 forms of about 24 in our first year. How many international students is our intake for year 9, 2025? That's a very specific question, Mrs. Wong. I don't know the answer. I will make sure somebody emails you that answer. I do not know off the top of my head standing here right now, but we will come back to you with an answer on that very specific question. Hello, Dennis. You're a technology boy and an aviation enthusiast. That's good to hear. Everyone does participate in EDGE. Yes, EDGE is something that everyone does. And what I suppose the EDGE film also alluded to is EDGE isn't just taught in class. Well, it is taught in classrooms. It's a lesson on the curriculum. But if that's your thing, if you're into sort of technology and aviation and drones and that kind of stuff, there are loads of clubs that take place beyond the lessons that you can get involved in. So the kind of supra curriculum here enables you to go and do loads of this stuff if you wanted to. So whether that be through we build and race electric cars, or we have drone racing clubs, or we have all kinds of stuff, robotics clubs that you can be involved in should you want to. We also have a flight simulator club, if you're into aviation, that pupils do. So yeah, that's the aviation club. And yes, we do build cars. We build and race electric cars. So if that's your thing, Dennis, absolutely right. You can come and do that. You will all do EDGE as a curriculum, but you'll also, if you want to get involved in those clubs, you can do that too. Do we offer flexi boarding? I think I've just answered that. So we don't do flexi, kind of bed and breakfast. It doesn't work for us. I'm not sure it's a great thing for the boarding community, but we do offer half weekly boarding. Our approach to bullying, that's a good question. So we don't, so do we have a zero tolerance approach to bullying? Of course we do. I think any school would say that. We do not want bullying in the school. I think any head who stood in front of an audience of people and said we don't have bullying in the school would not be telling you the whole truth. Any organization, school, or the jobs you guys do, there's going to be unkindness. The critical thing is, do you know it's happening? And if you've got a culture where it's not acceptable, I think here at Caterham we do. So we have very robust processes and procedures if we find out bullying is happening. And just to reassure you, if somebody bullies somebody repeatedly and persistently and doesn't learn to stop bullying, then they're asked to leave the school. So we do move pupils on if they can't interact with pupils in an appropriate way. So all schools have those systems and processes in place, and we are very clear in our sanctions policy that bullying is not acceptable, and if you continue to bully, you'll be asked to leave. We do that. I think the most important thing that I would want to tell you, though, is that because bullying tends to happen just at the margins of our kind of our vision, bullying it's very rare for bullying to happen in a very explicit way in front of teachers. So you're relying upon pupils to tell you if stuff is happening. And I said this already a little bit about the wellbeing program. Because we teach our pupils about what is appropriate behavior, because we teach our pupils to be emotionally literate, because we teach our pupils to be able to articulate how they're feeling and to spot when things are wrong in other people and share that, we've got a culture where if something like this is happening, we know about it. It doesn't happen very often, just to reassure you, but when it does happen, we know about it. And interestingly, we know about it whether it's physical or online, because our pupils have a very clear sense of our culture and what's important to us and what to do if something's going wrong, and they will tell an adult. We also have anonymous reporting processes too. So our approach to bullying, I think, is pretty successful and pretty robust. We don't have lots of it, I have to say, because we've got a really positive culture here at the school. When it does happen, we know about it and we deal with it robustly. Anybody who tells you otherwise, I would be cautious about that. So yeah, I think we've got a strong culture. I hope that reassures you. Boarders' use of mobile phones outside of school time. So in the evenings, of course, if you're a boarder, we take the phones in, so they're not on their phones all night. We want them to get some sleep. And of course, given different time zones, there's a real risk if you've got your phone, then you're on your phone all night to home. So it's about striking the balance, isn't it, between, if you're a boarder at the school, boarding should be a home from home. And so we try to create that environment in the boarding houses. So we don't ban phones all the time in the boarding house, but we do make sure, like any parent would do, that when kids are going to bed, we say, okay, give us your phone, hand your phone in, so that it's not there to be used, which I think works successfully as well. But also we want to make sure they've got, we don't want them to feel they can't speak to you guys wherever you are in the world. So it's balancing that, the accessibility and the distance with them having enough sleep. So yeah, in the evenings we take the phones in. I think it works very well. Pastoral care provided by the school. I guess that's all wrapped up in the well-being thing. My deputy head, Sarah Griffiths, who's my deputy head well-being and pastoral, we tended to talk about well-being rather than pastoral. What would I say to that question? I suppose it gives me the opportunity to reiterate what I've just said to you. Pastoral care is about two things. It's about systems and processes and policies, and all schools have to have them. So every school will have a deputy head pastoral, or every school will have an anti-bullying policy or a behaviour policy. We all have them. We have to have them, quite rightly so. The most important thing about pastoral care, though, is about the school culture. Whether you have a school culture in which teachers and heads believe pastoral care really matters, that you're looking after your children is the most important thing that we do, and creating a culture in which they can be themselves and it's okay not to be okay, all that's important. And a culture in which pupils understand that if something's not right, they can tell somebody about that. And are there people within the school that they feel comfortable talking to? Now, when we have physical visitor mornings, and you're welcome to come to a physical morning at some point, our parents have a tour of the school. So we'll do a presentation and our parents will go off on a tour of the school. And I always say to the parents, whenever you go to a school, whether it's Caterham or wherever else you're looking at, the question to ask a pupil isn't about the sports facilities or isn't about the kind of GCSE choices. The question you should ask is, if something's not right, would you tell somebody? That's a question to ask, because as a parent and as a teacher, you want to know that if something's not right, a pupil feels comfortable talking to an adult about it, because once they do, we can do something about it. So pastoral care only works if pupils feel comfortable talking about it, and only if teachers are able to spot things that are changing patterns of behaviour. So culture matters much, much more than policy, procedure, and training. Those things are important, of course they are. Culture matters more than anything else. And we have a really, really good culture here where our pupils know we care about them as individuals, where we don't just value them for the grades they're going to produce. And they're quite happy talking to us about how they're feeling. And we're quite happy talking to you as parents. So I hope that reassures you as well. In terms of structure, we have tutors, heads of year, deputy heads, counsellors, medical centres, all kinds of things. So we have all the right people, a wide network of people who are there. But very often, in terms of a pupil sharing a problem, it might not be with a member of the pastoral team. It could be with their favourite teacher, who could be a maths teacher. It could be it could be the cook. It could be, the minibus driver. Everybody, every adult in the school plays that role, and the pupils feel they can talk to adults, which I think is critical. So I hope that's helpful. Our approach to bringing new children into school, okay, including those that come from overseas. So the kind of induction piece, let me talk about the induction piece in a broader sense, and I'll pick up the overseas bits in a second. So if you do come to Caterham, and let me think now about the pupils joining us in September 2024. So we've already begun that process with them, whether it's overseas or UK based. So for overseas parents, I was out, I don't know where you are in the world, but we tried to get out to you at some point. I met up with a whole load of joining parents at an event in Hong Kong back in March. We'll be back out there in September doing the same thing, and in Malaysia and in Thailand. And so we'll come out and meet you before you join. So we begin that dialogue and that conversation with you. And at those events, we'll also invite current parents. So wherever you are in the world, we'll connect you with the community where you are. So you begin to build that sense of belonging to Caterham School. And of course, putting you in touch with families who might already be here means that you can ask them the questions that you wouldn't dare ask us. You know, the questions that you might think are too small to ask us, you'll ask them. So we connect you already. In terms of the pupils coming in from overseas, our boarding house mistress and boarding house master will this term be doing Zoom calls with all of the families joining. I'm speaking to the parents and to the pupils to get to know them, to hear about how we can best support them. So we're connecting you with families where you are. We're connecting you with the boarding house mistress or master before you come. We then, before September, the boarders arrive a day or two before term starts, and we have a day or so of induction where both the parents are invited to school to come and meet us and to meet each other. The pupils come into school and meet other boarders, meet day pupils. They're given a buddy, they're shown around the school site, they're given all the kind of kit they need. So it's quite an extensive sort of onboarding process, if you like. But that doesn't stop when term starts. We then are in constant dialogue with you throughout that first half term, first term, just to make sure that what we're seeing is what you're seeing. So there's a real conversation, a real dialogue around making sure that your child settles in effectively. And we're very conscious and very experienced at knowing that children coming to us from different countries, how we adapt and flex what we do and our expectations to them. It's a big deal, and part of that is making sure that you as parents, wherever you are in the world, feel that you can tell us what your child is telling you. As I said to you earlier, you guys are the experts in your children, and they'll tell you things that they won't tell us. So there's a constant dialogue taking place. It does work really, really well, I think. So I hope that answers that. Languages, both in the curriculum and co-curriculum. So children do Mandarin. All pupils do Mandarin in the first and second year. In terms of European languages, we offer French and German and Spanish. We will also have Japanese and Russian and other heritage languages taught by teachers coming in for those pupils who want it. So we offer a range of languages for pupils. And you pick one when you come in. So everyone does Mandarin, but then you pick one of either French, German, Spanish in the first year. If your heritage language is Japanese or Russian or whatever else, and you want to do a GCSE in that, then we set that up for you as well outside the curriculum. How many boarding houses? 3. There is one girls' house called Beach Hanger with about 70 girls in. There are 2 boys' boarding houses, a junior boys' boarding house with 40 pupils in, and that's called Townsend, and a senior boys' boarding house, which has got 60 boys in, called Viney. The girls' boarding house is just over the road, so they're separate. Just to be clear, the girls' boarding house is over the road. The boys' boarding house, I'm standing talking to you from school. They are actually above me right now. So if you hear noise, that's our boarders who've just finished their maths GCSE above me. For A-levels, can pupils take 4? They can. Yeah, they can. So what we do is all of our lower 6 people start with 4 A-levels. Most will, well, not most, about half, 2/3 will drop to 3. So we start with 4 so that everyone can work out what the right combination is, because some pupils will try a new subject like, I don't know, psychology or politics. So we give them a chance to work out what the right 3 combination is, and they'll drop to 3. But equally, a good number of our sixth formers will do 4. And if you're doing further maths, well, you're going to do 4 anyway, because further maths is worth 2. So you might do further maths, chemistry, physics. So that's 4 A-levels. Some of our super bright kids might do 5. They might do further maths, chemistry, biology, and physics. So we will flex that around the needs and abilities of each child. We want to make sure, though, that there's also opportunity for pupils to enjoy the breadth that we have here at school. But yes, pupils can do 4 if that's what they want to do. Differences in treatment between sixth form boarders and young boarders. Is there a relaxation in rules for older students? Yeah, there is. Again, it's a home from home. So our expectations and our boundaries and our rules will change as pupils move up through the school. That doesn't mean that there are no rules for our sixth formers. There are, but we treat them a bit more like adults when they are becoming young adults, as opposed to the younger ones. Yeah. I think it's okay. Do we offer Add Maths at IGCSE? Yes, we do. And if you're super keen doing GCSE and you're a great mathematician or physicist, you can also do astronomy GCSE for fun if you want to. And just on the A-level question, actually, I should also have said that alongside your A-levels, a lot of our students will do an EPQ, an extended project qualification, which offers a bit of breadth. We also expect all of our pupils in the sixth form to do some community service as well. And there are also opportunities to choose other electives and do some micro qualifications. So there's some real breadth to our sixth form offer. It's not just A-levels, there are other things alongside that as well that you can do, if that's helpful to know. I think we've run out of questions. Does anybody else have anything else you'd like to know? If you've enjoyed this morning, if you think, okay, I quite like that, that sounds pretty good. This is the start of a conversation, I hope, with you. If you've got questions you wanted to ask but didn't ask them, please email admissions here at school and we'll pick up those questions. If you want to come and visit, you're more than welcome to visit at any time. So we have one big open day a year, that's in September. It's on a Saturday. It's great fun. Please do come because it's us showing off. So that's one thing you can do. You can also come at any time and have a private tour. So I was just before this call meeting a family and their child who made an appointment to come and see me. We had a conversation. They had a tour of the school, seeing the school in its working day with pupils in classrooms. That's a great way of seeing the school. We also have a whole series of what we call visitor mornings. They tend to take place on a Wednesday, a bit like this, but physical. And again, you get to look around the school with pupils in classrooms doing things. But please do come visit and please do engage with us. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a bit more about the school. I mean, just to go back to where I started, we are, as you know, well, maybe you don't know, we are the independent senior school of the year here in the UK right now because of the job we're doing. So we have a great balance between, yes, academic excellence, but also real breadth and a really interesting philosophy underpinning that around learning to learn, well-being and digital. So please do come and visit and thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a great rest of your day or a great rest of your evening. Okay, cheerio.